Office workers. What's the most cringeworthy reply-all blunders you've seen? Story 1. Back in my old workplace, things got pretty wild when two of the partners at a not very discreet affair, both were married to other people, mind you. Partner A was the one running the summer associate program and sent out an email to the entire firm, listing all the information about the upcoming summer program, names, schools, who's mentoring who, important dates, you name it. But then Partner B decided to spice things up a notch by hitting reply all. And I mean, the recipient list included the whole 500-plus person law firm, from attorneys to paralegals to secretaries, the whole gang. Partner B dropped an "I'm going to pork you so hard later." It was hilarious for several reasons, including his use of the word pork. Story 2. So there was this management guy from our floor who decided to go all out in describing the sorry state of the men's restroom. I mean, seriously, he didn't hold back. It didn't just end up in the inboxes of us guys on the floor, but also landed in the laps of a bunch of customers. Similarly, HR once dropped an email bomb on our entire office, and it was all about restroom hygiene. Can you believe it? It went on. And to make things even weirder, they attached pictures of these problems. I'm not sure if anyone got in trouble, but I can tell you that our office was buzzing with unhappy people after seeing those attached images. Yeah, it's understandable, but they really should step up their restroom cleaning game. I mean, it's not a big deal if only the employees saw the email, but come on, attaching pictures? That's a bit much, even for office talk. Story 3. Back in my days at a print shop about 10 years ago, we had this design artist. Let's call her Z. She was one of those flaky but just about good enough to keep kind of employees. You know the type, right? She'd whip up files that looked fine to customers and on the screen, but they were like puzzles that required tons of pre-press magic to make them actually printable. It was frustrating because, honestly, she lacked some serious technical skills, which were supposed to be a big part of her job. So one fateful day after lunch, we all received this email from Z, sent to her husband, and boy did it drop a bombshell. She was gleefully talking about waiting for the perfect moment to intentionally mess up a huge repeat yearly job, just a few months before she planned to quit. Now you've got to understand that a lot of print jobs have this yearly cycle thing with local businesses, and this all went down in February, referring to a $40,000 job that came around every October. As the IT guy, I got called to investigate the email situation, and sure enough, when I dug deeper into her workstation's email, it was like opening Pandora's box. There were more emails detailing her devious plans, including mentions of her husband's friend who worked at a rival print shop. It was pretty clear she was cooking up some sabotage and maybe even some poaching. Long story short, Z didn't last an hour after that incriminating email went out to all the staff. And the fun fact that I never mentioned to my bosses was that I knew the email was sent when Z was out of the office. It was originally meant just for her husband and had been sitting in her inbox before she went to lunch. Her other designer, this quiet and assuming colleague who knew her stuff, had stumbled upon these earlier emails at different times when she needed to use Z's workstation. She copied and pasted that revealing email into a new one and sent it to the entire company from Z's computer. I just gave her a knowing nod and a thumbs up later on. That was a clever move. Though snooping on private emails is initially a bad idea, but hey, it ended up being a win after foiling a covert sabotage mission. Thumbs up indeed. Story 4. I had a stint as a temp in this massive law firm once. One day they brought in a fresh-faced lawyer. And like clockwork, HR sent out the standard email introducing the new guy and giving him a virtual high five for his new gig. But here's where it gets juicy. The new guy decided to hit reply all, and his opening act was a real head-turner. He asked the HR person if the company's benefits package covered hair transplant procedures. Now talk about an icebreaker. Man, you know, if The Simpsons taught us anything, it's that you can work wonders with a few creatively filled out insurance forms. Just tell them you need that hair to keep your brain from freezing. Who knows, maybe those luscious locks will score you a promotion to junior executive. Story 5. Back when I was working at a law firm, there was this one memorable email incident. One day a message hit everyone's inbox, we're talking about 40 people here, and it was all about a specific case. The problem was that it had about as much relevance to my job as a snowball in July, so I just ignored it. No big deal, right? Well, a few minutes later, I got another email, but this time from a different attorney, and it had a snarky tone. What happened next was classic. These two attorneys started going at it, and they were hitting that reply all button like there was no tomorrow. 6 emails later, a third attorney jumps in and drops the bombshell. Yeah, well, my dad can beat up your dad. Oh, by the way, you've been sending this to the whole office. It got me laughing for days. I mean, seriously, how do people not realize that every single email they send can be seen by everyone? It's not rocket science. You have to hit a button or do a Control-Shift-R. It's not like you just start typing and boom, it's sent to the entire world. Now fine, I get it. Depending on how many emails you're juggling, it's not that unlikely to hit Control-R, but that doesn't mean folks shouldn't double-check who they're sending stuff to before hitting that send button. Heck, I even have a little safety net. A minute delay after clicking send just in case, plus you never know when that last-minute brilliant idea will strike. For those curious about how to set up that delay in Microsoft Outlook, there's this handy article that outlines exactly what I do. You create a new rule, check messages after sending, and tweak the rule to have it defer delivery by a number of minutes. It's like having your own personal email time machine.
Hey, by the way, this video is sponsored by me.
and my friends at Rufus Rugs. We create custom, hand-tufted rugs that perfectly reflect your style. So whether you want to get one of our thumbnails as a rug for, research purposes, or maybe you just want to get some cool anime-style rugs for your room, check out Rufus Rugs by clicking the first link in the description. Story 6. So here's a little office tale that's kind of similar, but with a twist. Back in the day, I used to work for a company that was a vendor for Abercrombie & Fitch. I was sending emails to various people at Abercrombie pretty much every day. The one fine day, I sent a request to someone there, and what came back was an out-of-office reply that was, well, quite something. This out-of-office message said, "I'm no longer with A&F. I hate this place. I hate this job. And everyone here can take a hike." I couldn't help but burst into laughter for a good few minutes. I mean, who sends such a message, right? I immediately called up a buddy of mine who also worked there, and soon enough, it became a company-wide email chain just to see the replies. It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion. It took about an hour for their IT department to catch wind of what was happening and swiftly take that email account offline. Maybe that guy just needed a little stress relief, and his email was his way of letting off some steam. I mean, we've all had those days, right? Though I have to say, opting to take the email route was quite a strange choice. Story 7. So there's this dude at the office, right? He goes and sends out one of those Great American Gas Out things to all 6,000 plus employees, but here's where it gets cringeworthy. The CEO hits the reply all button and drops a bomb, saying something like, "Exxon is one of our biggest clients, and using company resources for your own political agenda is totally against our company policy." And then it started. The epic reply all spam event. People are chiming in left and right. "Please remove me from this email list. Please remove me from this list. I was added in error. You're replying to everyone in the thread. Please stop. Stop replying to all." I mean, seriously. How can companies with more than 50 people still let this all-employees group address exist? It's like inviting chaos. Story 8. There was this guy in my workplace, and he really had good intentions. He wanted to send out a friendly email to our department, to a couple of dozen people, to announce that for his birthday he would be treating everyone to some delicious donuts. It's a pretty common thing to do. But here's where it took a hilarious twist. Instead of selecting the email list for just our department, this guy somehow hit the jackpot and sent it to the entire company. Yeah, picture that. Employees in other countries chiming in with replies like, "Well, I don't know you and I can't exactly teleport there just for donuts, but hey, happy birthday." Story 9. Around 12 years back, I was working in this small office, and you know how it is. Sometimes a coworker just gets caught in the middle of telling a boring story to the whole office. Well, on this particular day, my boss decided to vent about it, and guess what? He intended to send me an email, since I was his designated sounding board. But oops, he accidentally hit reply all to another company-wide email. The message he sent out to the entire company: "I wish Donna would have emailed me this story so I could delete it." Donna saw that email just a few minutes later. Talk about awkward. She literally threw her keyboard up in the air, grabbed her purse, and bolted out of the office like it was on fire. My boss had to do some serious apologizing the very next day. I swear, I've got to start sharing the story at parties. It's a classic. And wouldn't it be fun if I could mention all these hilarious experiences when they hit me with that "What's your ideal work environment?" question during job interviews? Story 10. Back in the day at my old company, we had this golden rule. Don't you ever dare reply all to a company-wide email. It was a simple rule, but it did get broken a lot. There was zero tolerance for anyone who dared to reply all. Some folks have literally been fired for doing it. And then one day, one of our coworkers had this cheese swiped from the fridge. How do you handle cheese theft? Well, this guy decided to go big and sent an email to everyone by replying all to a mass email. "To the person who stole my cheese, I will find you, and you will regret what you've done." I saw an opportunity to kid there, and I just couldn't resist. I hit reply all to his email and dropped Liam Neeson's epic speech from Taken, but with a little cheesy twist, replacing daughter with cheese. "If you let my cheese go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you, I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you, and I will kill you." Here's the twist in the tale. Our CEO swung by shortly after, chuckling at my cheese humor. He explained that the employee had just wrapped up a meeting with HR about that email, and guess what? I was in for a meeting of my own about my reply. He thought it was hilarious, but rules are rules, right? The best part? That email became an inside joke with the CEO and even helped me make friends with him. From then on, we called him the Big Cheese. I saw what you did there. So as for you, my friends, if you don't want that guy in your case, you better return his cheese. Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Now back to the shenanigans. Story 11. Back in the day, I worked at this massive government complex, and boy, did we have embarrassing reply all moments. So someone decided to reply to an email that was sent to all 500 plus employees, and their comment was just gold. The caption in the email read, "This guy looks like Reggie, lol." And what's even better, they attached a picture of a hefty, hairy dude rocking a Speedo. Classic, right? None of us really had a clue who this Reggie character was, but if the caption was on point, I'd say he should definitely consider investing in some quality hair trimmers. Story 12. So our corporate office sends out this company-wide email, and it goes something like this. Congratulations to this year's winner of the Lisa Martinez Award for Excellence. Here's where the cringe factor kicks in. There's this brown-nosing line supervisor who clearly didn't read the email carefully, and they hit reply all with a message that says, "Congratulations to Lisa Martinez." What's the problem then? Well, Lisa Martinez had sadly passed away from cancer just a few weeks before, and the award was actually created in her honor. Talk about a cringeworthy moment. Gotta be really mindful in situations like this. It's best to ensure we include all the important details in our messages, especially when it's about remembering someone. That way we can avoid awkward moments like this one. Story 13. When I was working for the state government, there was this super memorable reply all mishap that's still etched in my memory. It all went down during one of those office holiday shindigs. Someone had ordered this massive fruit platter, but because it was government stuff, they didn't bother with the utensils. Classic, right? But guess what? A hero emerged from the chaos, a colleague had tongs at their desk and came to the rescue. After the festivities, there were some leftover fruits and an email went out about it. But about 15 minutes later, we all got another email from Connie. Now, Connie was this tiny Asian lady in her 60s, sharp as a tack but not entirely fluent in English. Her reply all message sent to the entire floor, about 200 people, went something like this.
Also, to whoever left their thong in the break room, please come pick it up.
At first, it was just a few quiet giggles, but it didn't take long for the whole office to erupt into laughter. Connie's typo had turned her boring workday into a comedy. Of course, she quickly sent a correction email, but the damage was already done. Connie went around to every cube explaining what she meant. It was the laugh we all needed, and it made that day unforgettable. So there you have it, a simple typo and a reply all email causing total office chaos. Story 14. I was working in an office during the Iraq War, and out of the blue, I received an email from some random private. The subject line reads, "Y'all crazies need to chill." Puzzled by such a blatant attack, I decided to investigate. Who was this guy and who was on the receiving end of this fiery message? As it turns out, the private had cast his net far and wide. He sent this fiery email to practically everyone in command in Iraq, Afghanistan, and a few other places. The rumor has it that to this day, that private is still doing push-ups as a result of this legendary email blunder. But wait, there's more to the story. Some folks claim that this private's email meltdown was the catalyst for us starting to pull out of Afghanistan. It's like the butterfly effect, but with email typos. And if that wasn't wild enough, I heard a rumor that Afghanistan wasn't even on the pill. Talk about a whole new level of unexpected consequences. But seriously, the sheer audacity of it rivals that one time a cadet at the Air Force Academy tried to school the Secretary of the Air Force on how to do his job. I mean, who even sets up permissions like that? Sometimes the reply all button can lead to absolute chaos, and this story takes the cake. Story 15. You know, we use instant messaging at the office, and it's led to a few cringeworthy moments. There have been times when someone fires off a message to the whole chat group, airing their grievances about someone else's work or just straight up calling them out for being terrible at their job. And you can bet that usually it's followed by that classic oops, as if that's going to make things better. But here's the thing. You've got to own that situation. If someone calls you out on it, you can't just retreat from the battle. No, you've got to stand your ground and say something like, "Yeah, I think Becky in accounting is bad at her job, so what?" And if that's enough cringe for you, imagine this. Sometimes someone messages just one person, but that one person happens to be screen sharing with the entire group. You know, it's amusing how these virtual callouts rarely seem to solve anything. If there's one thing I know, it's that discussing work ethics via email just doesn't cut it. The real deal is taking that feedback and having a good old-fashioned chat in person. No need for virtual awkwardness or getting caught up in any office water cooler gossip. Just plain straightforward professional talk. Sound good? Story 16. There's this guy from the main office, Pete, who drops by every now and then. And let me tell you, he's quite the arrogant type. Honestly, it took me all of 30 seconds to realize I couldn't stand that smug dude when I first met him. Our department had seen its fair share of comings and goings since Pete's last visit, and our boss decided it was time for everyone to meet him. So Pete's admin sent out this email asking who'd be up for lunch on Thursday. I hit reply and casually mentioned that I had a conflict in my schedule, adding a little colorful commentary. Plus, Pete's kind of a jerk. So what got me floored there? I didn't realize I'd hit reply all until the laughter erupted across our entire floor. My boss, in his usual formal and businesslike manner, invited me to a conference room and dropped a gem on me. In the future, let's let everyone decide for themselves whether or not Pete is a jerk. Thankfully, Pete wasn't on that email chain, and my boss rarely uses profanity, so it made the whole situation even funnier. Story 17. I used to work as an editor at a local newspaper, and we had this section where the public could submit articles. We were all about giving everyone a fair shot, so we looked at every submission that came our way. Now there's this dude who sent us these massive 6-page single-spaced sermons, like legit religious sermons, and then got all worked up when we didn't print them. To be fair, we tried to find a middle ground by offering to run one if he could squeeze it down to just one page. But oh boy, he was not having it. Fast forward a bit and he'd had enough. He fired off this email that was, well, let's just say it was anything but saintly. He accused us of hating on Jesus and trying to stomp on his freedom of speech. He even threatened to take us to court, saying we'd have to pay him big time. Quite the email, especially coming from someone so religious. So I accidentally hit reply all and sent an email to my entire team. My response? Thank you for your submission. This looks like an excellent piece, and we'll consider it for printing after one of our editors work a week or so of overtime to get it in shape. Thanks again. You know what happened after that? Crickets. He actually ghosted us. Story 18. One of our coworkers, for some unknown reason, copied a playful threat from an instant message to another colleague. Probably thinking it'd be a hilarious joke to use in other chat windows. And here's where the cringe kicks in big time. Instead of sharing that funny inside joke with a few buddies, they accidentally pasted it into this massive update tool. Yep, you guessed it. It updated thousands of customer tickets with this external note that read, "I will chase you and your loved ones." The rest of that day, while we were stuck doing some serious ticket surgery, manually editing that threat out of each one painful ticket at a time, we even had to summon the database admin to do some major purging. Oh, and here's the kicker. It all went down on a lazy Sunday, and believe it or not, we only heard about it from one customer. They were surprisingly chill and gave us a friendly heads up. If they hadn't called, we might have never caught on until it was way too late. But wait, there's more. Another time during a WebEx call with one of our customers, I had one screen shared and a chat window running on my other screen. Out of the blue, an IM popped up with an imager link, and in my haste, I accidentally clicked it. Boom. There it was, an image of a guy dressed up as a flamboyant unicorn right there on our shared screen. I freaked out and closed it almost immediately, and you'd think everyone in the call would have lost it, right? Nope. Surprisingly, only one person snickered, and the conversation rolled on like nothing happened. Oh, and speaking of awkward moments, there's one more jam. A coworker on the help desk hit mute, or so he thought, and asked the caller if she was, well, let's just say not very smart. To make matters worse, she replied with a puzzled, "What?" because he missed that mute button. In his sheer panic, he just hung up on her. And guess what? We never heard a peep about that one either. It's like our office is a secret vault of cringeworthy moments. These busy office workers had a mountain of work on their desks, and they totally missed checking that reply all option. And just like that, cringe happened. We're learning a lot from these cringeworthy moments, the best lesson being that it will always do you good to think twice before hitting that send button. After all, once you hit reply all, there's no turning back. But you know what you should keep coming back for? These stories. If you made it all the way here, then I know you'll also love, what's your most embarrassing doctor's office story? Story 6 was superb. See you there.